Welcome back to the Deep Dig Sports Pod. I'm your host, Drew, and my other host right here next to me.
What's up? It's D. Good to see you again. Go ahead and hit that like button. Go ahead and subscribe. If you're listening on audio, we have a YouTube. If you're on YouTube, we have this pod on all audio platforms. Listen to us while you're driving, doing whatever. Feel free to leave some comments, rate 5 stars, all that good stuff.
Everyone is going crazy about this Jimmy Garoppolo news. There is a clause in his contract because Jimmy... It turns out his ankle was worse than what we thought. He needed surgery. The Raiders still wanted to sign him, so they put, was in an addendum G?
Yep.
Addendum G for Jimmy G in the contract. They can basically get out of it if Jimmy G's not ready for training camp, ready for week 1. What can you make of what's going on with this guy?
I mean, first reaction was no way. Like, there's no way. And then this is the first time we heard about the surgery this past offseason. Well, it turns out from reports that I've seen that apparently the 49ers medical staff misdiagnosed Jimmy Garoppolo. So when he went to go actually sign with the Las Vegas Raiders, so the 49ers staff was like, hey, nope, with your Lisfranc injury in your foot, we should be fine. It doesn't require surgery. You should be good to go. It's going to heal on its own. He's like, cool, good to go. He goes the entire offseason. He signs with the Raiders. They bring him in for a physical. He fails, and they say, hey, actually, this was misdiagnosed. You need surgery. So let's go ahead and do that. They knock it out. They have this provision if he's not ready by training camp or regular season. Do you know?
We're going to look that up. Is it week 1? If he's not ready
by week 1, it'll actually... thank you, producer Chris.
Yeah, we got a guy behind the camera.
If he's not ready by week 1, they can go ahead and fully negate his entire contract. But I don't think they're going to do it. What's the benefit of them doing that?
What I'm saying, what's the harm in just waiting a couple extra weeks for your starting quarterback rather than we are going to roll with Brian Hoyer or a rookie the rest of the season?
There's no way. I mean, unless you're just going to full on tank for Caleb Williams, which... I don't think Josh McDaniels has that in his arsenal. You don't have that in your arsenal, bruv.
You got to win this year. Like Devontae Adams is going to want out.
Well, he was on the hot seat coming off of last year. So it didn't work out with Derek Carr. You decided to part ways with him. Now you lost out on Aaron Rodgers. You lost out on Tom Brady, supposedly, quotation marks. And your big swing in free agency was getting Jimmy Garoppolo. This was it. You didn't draft anyone when you were tied to Will Levis in the early rounds, and you actually had an opportunity to go and get him. So it's just one of those things. You really boxed yourself. You painted yourself into the corner, and now you got to wait for it to dry.
And you didn't even get a safety net of like a signing Stidham again, get a Mike White, Gardner Minshew, just a guy that
Taylor
could be
Heineke,
a bridge starter. And I mean, Hoyer, I guess, is the low level one of those guys. But we've seen it already. We've seen enough of Hoyer to know that he's a clipboard guy.
He's a tank general.
He's a clipboard, yeah.
He's a tank general. That's what the 49ers did with him. You know what I mean? Just tanked, got a good pick. Hey, thank you, Hoyer. We appreciate it. But Josh McDaniels doesn't have that. He doesn't have that time. So what is your next best option? If I'm them, I would just keep Jimmy Garoppolo. If you don't want to keep Jimmy Garoppolo, what do? You go and get Carson Wentz? Do you call up the Saints? My first thing would be call up the Saints, ask for Derek Carr. Nah, but what I would do is actually call up the Saints, ask for Jameis Winston.
I'd even go with a Taysom Hill at this point.
Bro, anything. I would just, hey, you have Jameis, you just drafted Jake Haener. But I think what's really going to fuck the Raiders on this is the new Brock Purdy, quote unquote, Brock Purdy rule, where you can carry and actually dress 3 quarterbacks and have one be an emergency quarterback that doesn't count as your active roster. So I think more teams are actually going to hold and hoard quarterbacks throughout this entire offseason and maybe even into the season. We're going to see teams that have 3 quarterbacks.
Yeah, you don't think the Dolphins are going to carry extra quarterbacks? The Niners are going to carry extra quarterbacks? Any team with a mobile quarterback is going to have extra quarterbacks, and the pool of quarterbacks that can lead your team for a full season is already small. And now you're asking Raiders, you don't get a free agency to find someone. You don't get a draft to find someone. We're asking you in training camp, find a guy to be your franchise quarterback. Doesn't make sense.
All right. I just thought about this. hear me out. What if they reach out to the Jets and they're like, hey, you fucking hate the number 2 overall pick.
Don't do this to the Raiders.
We need a guy. Can you send him over? We'll give you a 5th round pick. You're not getting anything better than that, realistically. If you're the Jets, would you do it?
If I'm the Jets, I'm doing it in a heartbeat. Like, here's Zach Wilson. Let's just get off him. I don't think he's going to be good for our locker room. If I'm the Raiders, it's a shot in the dark. It's a complete shot in the dark.
But if you're McDaniels, you can just be like, hey, you know what? We took a flyer on a guy that had a really high ceiling. Does this buy me another year? I really hope so. Like, you've seen what I can do with, not so good quarterbacks. It's not great, but I can run the ball with Josh Jacobs, who we haven't signed.
Well, what's interesting to me is there's a little bit of rumors around there that the Raiders could be interested in trading for Trey Lance. And I'm like, wow, the Raiders could get a full 49ers experience of banged up Jimmy Garoppolo and banged up Trey Lance. Like, welcome to our world.
I think realistically, like, it's not going to happen. They're not going to trade Trey Lance. I don't think it's happening this offseason, especially with the Brock Purdy rule now. Like, you can have an emergency quarterback. Why not keep all 3 of these guys? Had it not happened where you can dress all 3 quarterbacks, realistically, I think they would have cut Trey Lance. I think they would trade it. Like, yeah, I don't know who would have traded for him. I think you would have just wait for him to get cut if he doesn't beat out Sam Darnold. But I think now with that rule, that really breathes life into Trey Lance as like, I'm going to be here on this roster. If someone gets hurt, I'm just one step away from starting or at least seeing some playing time.
Yeah, and if he beats out Sam Darnold, then Sam Darnold's the 3rd quarterback, and he's like, well, I'm suiting up, and I'm here just in case too.
Yeah.
So
it works out for all of them. I think that Brock Purdy rule does change the dynamics of specifically the 49ers QB room.
Yeah, well, let us know in the comments. Would you cut Jimmy G? Are you going to hold on to him even though he's injured? If you're Devontae, how pissed are you?
So, oh my God, that's a whole nother angle right there.
Yeah,
dude.
let us know in the comments. Want to move on to the next thing, kind of surrounding this, but Tom Brady trying to become part-time owner. We talked about it last week. We were kind of questioning what his role would be, but now it's an even bigger question of what his role would be, because people are saying like, well, he can make himself the starting quarterback of the Raiders, but now it's not that simple. I think we just learned that if he's going to become a minority owner, it's still not passed. It's under review. He needs 24 of the owners to approve that.
Which he'll get if he
has to. They're thinking of adding something in the rules that he needs to fully retire in order to become a minority owner. So, the teams in the league are kind of worried about this. They don't want it to happen. And if he was to become a minority owner and he wants to play, he needs every single team to agree to let him play. So the chances of him playing as an owner, being Jackie Moon, it's basically like 0. Because not every team is going to be like, yeah, you know what? Tom Brady play for $2,000 and, just pay yourself owner money. Don't pay yourself as a quarterback. Let the Raiders have extra cap space and you be their starting quarterback.
But like, realistic, it's not like this is a new thing. Like, we even talked about George Kittle. George Kittle doesn't make top dollar. Yeah, he makes top dollar for a tight end, but tight ends, considering, the quarterbacks, the wide receivers, now even the corners make more DNs probably make more money, but he's not a premium position. So you supplement that with all of these brand deals that he has now, and you don't think like the 49ers are like, hey, we got you this, buddy. Here you go.
The Zenny, or is it?
Yeah, Zenny, and then what's the other one that we just did a nude shoot with?
Go look at Kittle's Instagram if you're interested in seeing him only wearing a pineapple.
He's fucking ripped, dude. He's ripped. He's ripped his shreds. So I'm excited. I think he's gonna have an awesome season this year. That's a good sign for me. If he's like just fucking yoked, let's go. That's good. But anyways, I think that just let him play. Let him strap it up. Let him get out there one more time, guys. Come on.
It's different because, like, yeah, just looking at the 49ers, players on that team have taken pay cuts, but they get money from sponsorships and other deals that most likely the 49ers set up. It's just like too convenient. Like of Kittle gets a new contract and every billboard and every bar station, it's a picture of George Kittle.
Mm-hmm.
Like it just lines up so perfect. But none of those players are owners. That's where the line gets muddy. Where it's
But
like
also
you
it's
can't really hide the collusion from fans and be like, "Oh yeah, he's an owner, but don't worry, it's fair." Like,
But wasn't that the main thing with Tom Brady anyways? Like he always took a pay cut because he had his supermodel wife who made more money than him. So he was like, I'm comfortable. I'm good. Let's build out the rest of this team. So it's not like this would be something new or like unheard of. What would be unheard of if Aaron Rodgers took a fucking pay cut, which he's never doing. You know what I mean? So like that's not out of character for Tom Brady specifically because Tom Brady's been doing that his entire career.
but then he's gonna get owner salary on the side.
It's not like it's going to be a crazy owner salary. Like if you think about it, he's only going to be a minority owner. He's only going to earn a small percentage of what the franchise can really pay out. So do I think it's going to be like
But
a crazy stipulation? Like that's kind of stupid.
You're the Broncos.
Oh, I'm saying no immediately.
Yeah, exactly. Say you're the Chargers and you're gonna fight with them for a playoff spot. Why would I bail out the Raiders and say, here's a quarterback. Here's a franchise quarterback.
If I'm the Patriots, I say no.
Yeah.
Right?
If I'm the Bucks, I say no.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of the teams would say no. It's like, well, if you're gonna go be an owner, go be an owner. But like, if
the
not,
Dolphins say no.
But what's stopping Tom Brady from just saying, you know what? Let's put a pause on that. Let me go play a year, and then I'll go be an owner.
What if he doesn't get the approval then? Because he pissed off a lot of the owners. You know what I mean? That's kind of a once in a lifetime opportunity. When like Tom, you've been strapping it up for the last 25 30 years, dog, but this is your one shot at actually getting in to a very small if you think about like, okay, quarterback in the NFL is a very small fraternity. Owner in the NFL is an even smaller fraternity of dudes, and this is your one shot. I think you just don't do anything to mess it up. Like, look how hard it is to truly break into ownership. So I think you got to just kind of roll with it. Hey, you know what? If I'm really serious about it, I'm done. Like, I can go ahead and throw out like, hey, I would really like to play, and if we can pursue that, but it's going to get shot down. Do you really want to piss off however many people? Because you still need 24 of the owners to actually say, yeah, hey Tom, you can go ahead and take a minority stake in the Raiders.
Well, I mean, you guys let us know in the comments. Do you think it's fair that Tom Brady can be an owner and play? Do you think he should be allowed to? Or do you think he should just, sit in the owner's box, make decisions? Let us know. Move on to